Welcome back to the Grace Auburn Church podcast. My name is Lee, and I am privileged to serve as the host of this podcast and one of our pastors on staff. Today, we are continuing in a conversation on the podcast highlighting local ministries, the work that they're doing for the kingdom of God, whether they be overtly Christian ministries or nonprofits or serving a need as Christians who are leading those places. And today, we're talking about Big House Foundation. I'm joined by three wonderful guests, starting first and foremost with Raina Armstrong, serving as our outreach director, also a foster mom, also deeply committed to being a part of God's solution to the need for families to step into that gap. But we're also joined by members Jacob and Mary Grace Talmadge. Guys, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Hi.
Yeah, thank you.
Raina, act more excited to be here.
Hi.
Okay, there we go. All right. So we're talking about Big House Foundation. Big House has been around for a number of years and really serves as a staple in our community as a means of resourcing, equipping, training, really a bridge between local churches or other ministries and individuals and connecting families who are eager to foster with the very real need in our community and in really the surrounding communities. And what feels like, I think one of you guys has said before, they're really willing to help anybody that can get to them, right? And I think their heart for being an answer or a part of the answer to the foster care situation and need in our community is very real. But before we get into Big House, I'd love to introduce you guys. Raina, you don't need an introduction. You are known and well known. I'm sure your story will weave in here as well as we have this conversation. But Talmadge, for you guys, I'd love for y'all to just share a little bit about how you got here, specifically to Grace Auburn Church. And we'll get into how the Lord has led you into foster care. But just tell us a little bit about you, your family, how you got to Grace Auburn.
Yeah. So we got married in 2023.
Okay.
We're both kind of from around this area. I'm from this area. She's from about an hour and away. But we got married and we just kind of made the decision that we were going to find a church together. It was kind of like one of the first things that we did as a married couple. So,
Yeah.
We spent probably 4 or 5 months, 6 months, just going around to different churches. And we had one of Mary Grace's friends just kind of said, "Hey, I'm going to Grace Auburn. Yeah, y'all should come join us for a Sunday." So we came and never left. It seemed just to be a great fit, and we just loved everybody, and we got connected really quickly. And it took us about a year in, and then we decided to become members.
Yeah.
And got to do all the fun stuff now. So I get to greet and
Yeah.
work in the kids service.
Yeah.
Now, so.
All right. So you guys, give me a timeline here. You got married in...
We got married in January of 2023.
Okay.
And we both lived in the area then.
Right.
So we had kind of tried out churches prior to that. I think we came to Grace for the first time in December of 22, or the week before we got married is the when we tried it.
All right.
Okay.
That's
Something
fun.
like that.
That's
I do not
exciting.
remember that.
Yeah. But we loved how mission-minded it was.
Okay.
That
yeah.
was, it was, it's a little awkward the first time we came. We weren't expecting to pray for a people group, but then we loved how impactful that was and how you highlighted that. And really that was the thing that got me, was just how mission-minded the church was.
Yeah.
And how encouraging.
We hear stories of people who land in their first Sunday. Lacey and I remember early on when we would invite friends, we would give them full warning. Hey, this is what we're going to do together. Don't be weird about it. And or be excited about it. And then finally, I just stopped explaining what we were going to do. And I said, it's just different.
Yeah.
It's not better. It's just a unique way of gathering together. And I love how, for my kids especially Rowan. Rowan doesn't remember church outside of Grace Auburn. My youngest at 8 now. My middle one does. My oldest one for sure does. But for them, I think it's going to be a sweet testimony to tell our children down the road, and even people who bring middle schoolers in or high schoolers in, but for our children to go to other places and go, y'all don't pray together? For it to just have become as normal as it is. So it does me good to know and hear you guys tell your story of coming in and going, okay, that's different. and yet at the same time, it's become all the more normal now for you. And
Yeah.
now it's like, oh, Christians should pray together, and we
Yeah.
should be seen praying together. Well, I appreciate you guys sharing that part of your story. I appreciate just kind of your willingness to come in and do and try something different. You've been members now for a little bit. Like I said, you serve in a variety of ways. Tell us about your journey into foster care. You have a foster child in your home now, and the Lord is doing an amazing work in and through that, even in all the unseen ways, right? But we're talking about Big House, and so I'd love to know and hear a little bit about y'all's journey into foster care, and then specifically how Big House was a part of that story. And Raina, you jump in at any point telling how you guys met and all of that part of the story as well. So
Yeah.
I'll take over. Okay, so I've kind of always known that I wanted to foster. So we kind of had this conversation like prior to getting married, but we knew that we needed to figure out, okay, where specifically are we going to live?
mm-hmm.
And then we kind of needed to get a little bit more settled. And then last summer, we were like, I kind of talked to Jacob and I was like, hey, we can just go through the classes. It'll be so much easier to go through the classes before we have our own children. We don't have to find childcare and we don't have to open up our home full time. I said, we can just do respite. I said, that is just a great way to serve. So we ultimately decided to go through ABCH. We went through the classes last fall.
Mm-hmm.
Heather Lee, who works with the Big House, was one of our leaders in the class. So we got to learn a lot about Big House just through our tips class. And then by the end of the class, Jacob and I were like, okay.
All right.
Yeah.
We want to do this. And so Heather's just been great. Big
Yeah.
House has been a great resource. We got officially licensed in March. And
Okay.
then within a week, we had our sweet baby.
Bam.
Yep, happened quickly.
Uh-huh.
Real quick.
And I mean, we went from 0 kids in our home to having a almost 2-year-old in our home. So I mean, it's been a big difference.
Yeah.
Luckily, Big House had already given us a crib.
Mm.
We had already kind of been collecting a few like furniture items, but we were able to get all the necessities to at least survive. We got high chairs, all kinds of things.
Nice.
All kinds
Car
of good
seats.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. So really, I just feel like Big House kind of opened up the door between Big House and ABCH
Yes.
and just all of our support system. We knew that this was something that we felt called to, that we were excited about. But even though that it's something that we were called to, it's kind of hard to continue to say yes if you don't have that support system.
Right.
So I think that having Big House, in addition to all the other resources that we had, just makes it so much easier to continue to say yes.
Yeah. All right. I want to keep going with Big House. I also want to back up just for a minute. You knew coming in and had for a long time had the Lord's leading in your life to say yes to foster care. I'd love to hear your part of that story because the whole idea of starting classes so that we can do respite care, I would say, I don't know how many times that happens to one spouse or the other, but I think it's worth just saying, hey, you wanted to do this, you felt called to do this well before we got married, and I felt called to you. And so, Lord, if you're calling me to her, you're also calling me to this. Your story is not dissimilar to that, although on the other side for him. I would love to hear just how the Lord worked in and through her in your marriage. Really, over the course of the tips class, being involved with ABCH and then Big House, what were conversations like at home? And maybe not all the details, but I'd love for at least for people, members of our church, to go, oh, see, it's not always sunshine and rainbows, or maybe it was for you guys. But I think just your reaction to her saying she wanted to just do respite care made me want to ask that question. So take that.
So I did grow up with foster care. A little bit.
Okay.
So I've got I've got cousins that fostered.
Okay.
And so throughout my high school age, I've been kind of around foster care. And then probably about a year before we got married, I have a brother that went through foster care.
Okay.
And him and his wife got licensed, but they live in South Dakota.
Okay.
So I was never against the idea.
No, sure.
And when we had obviously talked about it before we got
Yes,
married,
yeah,
I
yeah.
knew it was something that was very heavy on her heart. And I wasn't ever against it. I mean, I thought it was something great.
Yeah, that's good.
I did kind of have like reservations or questions about it, kind of logistically of how it would work.
Mm.
And then,
Mm.
because I'm not a parent,
Right.
I don't know how to parent.
Right.
That was
Yeah.
his
And
biggest thing.
so-
I was like,
That's
I don't know how
real.
to parent. How am I supposed to do this?
Right.
Yeah,
You have no
it-
practice.
So I go through a little class, and all of a sudden they give me a child. Oh my goodness!
Something is wrong with us. I should not be taking this person home.
So as far as like the hesitation behind it,
Yeah.
on my side, it was more of like I don't think I know what I'm doing,
Mm.
and I don't think that. I don't know. It was almost like I hadn't ever experienced anything like that.
Yeah.
I hadn't even babysitted or anything. I mean, she's babysat since she was
Right.
10 years old,
Right.
and now she's a teacher and she's around kids all day. And I just work with a bunch of guys, and
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't have very much of that child connection.
Mm.
So the whole respite thing came up, and I was like, okay, I was kind of on track with that.
Sure.
3 or 4 days here, a week here,
Yeah.
kind of get our feet underneath us, or at least underneath me. But it was kind of just like a natural progression of, well, we've worked so hard, we've gotten to this point. We had a few hiccups along the way, but then we just kind of just got a text one day, and we were like, hey, they have a 18-month-old that needs a home.
Yeah.
We're just like, yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Wow.
We got a we got a home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
might
That's
as well. Yeah, we got a room, we got a crib, and man, it's been great.
I love that.
I can't imagine at any point having said no to something
Mm.
and
Missing
not
out on this.
and
Yeah.
not being where
Yeah. Well, your yes. I think people discount what just saying yes to God will do.
Yeah.
You know, and that could be fostering, it could be adoption, it could be moving overseas, it could be any number of things. It could just be going down the street and saying hello to your neighbor. I think one of the things I love about the way our church has now, really with Matt's lead and so many families in the church putting their yes on the table when it comes to foster care, not everyone is going to foster. But everyone should put their yes on the table to any number of things that the Lord may or may not be doing. And so one of the things I love about the way we talk about it, and I think Matt does a really good job when he preaches it or when he uses it from, or their story anyway, when he tells their story from the stage, is that it's not about, while foster care is an important and needed ministry, it's really about your obedience to the Lord and in your responding to him specifically. So thank you both for that. And thank you both for sharing that part of the story. Raina, I'd love for you to give us an overview. Give us a snapshot of who Big House is, what they do. We've mentioned it kind of alongside of ABCH, which is Alabama Baptist Children's Home, a statewide organization. Big House is not. Are they the same thing? How do they work together? Specifically, what is Big House, and how does it really foster what the Talmadges have been talking about?
Yeah. I think my best way I could describe Big House would be that it makes something that seems impossible just possible.
Mm.
Because, right, like going from 0 to 1 child and then her being under 2, it's like you don't have a crib, much less a high chair or diapers or anything, right?
you have
And
nothing.
whenever a child, and that's just like that's a great example. So, like, when children come into foster care, they also have nothing.
Yeah.
And so that's I think one of the coolest things that Big House does is they do these things called new to care bags. And so every single child that comes through foster care, whether it be through DHR, ABCH, and DHR in multiple different counties, they all will receive a new to care bag. And I recently got to get those for different children and was actually able to look through them. And it had multiple pairs of clothes and underwear, soap, toothpaste, toothbrush, a loofah, things that you don't think to give like a 4 and a 5-year-old.
Right.
And both of them had a Bible in them, which those kids can't read.
Mm.
Like, that's just like an easy way that Big House is, spreading the word of God, even to foster families that may not be believers. They're all receiving a Bible too, and those children as well. So they just make it possible, because thinking about receiving a child when you don't have a child is like, it's very terrifying. I understand that as well. And they just make it possible with the new to care bags. But another thing that they do is they do basically they have a boutique.
Mhm.
And you are allowed, every single foster family can go in every single month and get up to 10 items for every child in their home. So not even just the foster kids, but even your biological children. So
Mm.
speaking of like the deans, right? They have
Right.
a lot of kids, and it wouldn't just be for their foster kid that they could shop for, but for any of the child's needs or any of the other children's needs, they provide those as well. And that's been really helpful for us.
Yeah.
Because we have a 9, a 7 right now, and a about to be 5-year-old, and they just grow out of stuff so quickly. And because we foster Big House, and I even feel kind of guilty about it, honestly. I'm like, but this is not a foster kid. They're like, but you foster, so it's fine. And I'm like, okay, are you sure? Like every single time I ask, because it just feels wrong. It feels like I'm doing something wrong, but they're so giving that I sometimes feel so guilty for taking. But it has really helped our family specifically. They also work with East Alabama Food Bank, and any of the families that foster, they will provide you. This sounds insane, but it's actually true. You pay $10, and they will give you 100 pounds of food. And it's not 100 pounds of like little Debbie cakes. It's like meat and like produce and, nuts. And there are some little Debbie cakes, but we just throw those in the trash. And then fruit and all this kind of stuff.
Sure.
We actually bring them to campus, and the college students eat them. But we've used that too, because it's different if, like, right now y'all have a 2-year-old, but if in the future you got a 15-year-old boy, it's
Right.
like, okay, that's a different, way to feed someone, and they're growing and they need a lot more calories and
Yeah.
food. So Big House helps meet that need as well, which is just really cool. And really helpful. But they really serve any foster family, or even if you're a family that has like a relative, like if you have an emergency placement that's a relative's placement into your home, they also will serve you. So even if you're not DHR or ABCH certified, they still serve those families. And even today, I was picking kids up from Wonderful Wednesday, which is another program that they do, which is every single Wednesday of the summer, because kids are out of school and some of them are trying to figure out childcare and all that. They do activities from 9:30 to 12 every single Wednesday, just to give these kids something to do and some normalcy and a schedule. And it's at Big House, so they know what Big House is, and it's fun. And my kid specifically loves going to Big House. They have a great playground, all that kind of stuff. So it is just an amazing resource for anybody that is fostering. If you're not involved with it, I would say do it. There's no cost, and that's another thing. It's that they're just helping you out of the goodness of their heart.
Yeah.
And it's run fully on donations too. So if you have old clothes or a high chair or crib or anything that you aren't using anymore, that's actually how Big House gets all their stuff, is through donation.
I'd love for you guys all, and jump in wherever here. I'd love for you to all talk about, when we talk about foster care, I think oftentimes we talk about the brokenness of the system.
Mm-hmm.
This is not at all, this conversation, what I want it to be is really where we see light breaking through in a very dark system and in a very dark way. And obviously, whenever and wherever that happens, it is the Lord at work in hard places. I don't know, obviously, we can't necessarily share names, but I'd love to hear stories from you guys of how you've seen God at work. That could be in your own placement. That could be in your own needs being met by Big House. We've already been talking in some ways about how God has been at work, but is there something specific that comes to mind when you think, man, I had no idea how God was going to do that, and then fill in the blank, right? And just in terms of how you've seen him show up, and maybe that's not in your own story with your own recent placement and any future placements that the Lord may have for you. How have you seen God at work? How have you seen really the church being the church in and through Big House in y'all's experience with them?
I think for us, just with the support system we have in place, our current placement has a 7.5-month-old brother who's also in care. And through just all of the resources and the support that we've been provided, especially through Big House, like, we feel confident enough to be able to get him next month. So because of the support and the services and everything that we've received, like, we have the confidence to reunify siblings. And that's just so beautiful, because our baby will ask all the time to see her Bubba. And so we look at pictures on the phone all the time. We try to see them as often as possible. But it just doesn't compare to like living together, being together, because they come from the same background. They will have very similar stories. So I think it's so important to be able to keep siblings together when you can. And we're going to be able to do that. So I just feel like that is such an answered prayer. That's such a God thing because, I mean, we would never be able to do that on our own. Just, but we have faith. I won't say that we have full confidence because we know it's going to be a learning curve, but because of everything that we've received and because of the support that we know we'll continue to have, we are confident that we'll be able to make it work. So I feel like that is just huge. So we're pumped about that.
I feel like I have a million, over the course of 2 years, I have a million things I could say about how the Lord has done things in, it's so hard not to say their names, but like my child's life.
Yeah.
One specific thing that happened last week, I think it was last week, was we had Grace Games here, which is amazing, and it is our church's version. It's not really like, it's similar to VBS, but it's just our kids. And my child came last year. It was her first ever experience with a VBS, and that can be very scary. I've learned last year to kids that have no experience with that. And last year, I was so excited for her, and she was so scared and like cried pretty much the whole time. And luckily, her leader was Ashley Eden, who also had fostered and adopted, and so she understood that my child was nervous, and this was a new thing for her, and was so kind and so loving with her. And we got through last year, and it was fine. It was great. And then we had Grace Games again last year, and once again, Ashley Eden was her leader again.
I love it.
And she is just a different kid. She was so excited. She wanted to be on stage, jumping around. She got the best dress award one day, which I was very excited about. But she, and Ashley even pulled me aside and said she is a completely different kid. And her teachers say that, her therapists have said that, and that is the Lord. And people often try to say that is me, and I'm like, oh, well, it's not me. Like if I'm in charge, she's going downhill, you know, but it is Jesus. It is the Lord. And we memorize scripture together as a family every single month, and hearing her rattle off the verses that I know will go with her no matter where she ends up in life is like, it's just the sweetest thing in the world. And that is only because of the Lord. So yeah, he's done a million things. And even in other placements, life is, in the past week, we've had a family in our church that has felt called to foster care and emergency took 2 children into their home. And they are really just taking it day by day, but by the grace of God and the church and the support at Big House, like they are able to do that. And it's just been amazing. And that was totally a God thing. Because I was like rattling my brain trying to figure out where these boys were going to go. And I knew DHR didn't have anywhere to put them. And God provided, because he always does.
Yeah.
So it's been amazing.
I love that. All right, we could go a lot of different directions at this point. I feel like it is needed and necessary. Perhaps someone listening to the podcast is unfamiliar just with the scale of the need, so to speak, in our community. I don't have any statistics. I don't know that I necessarily have to have statistics. There's a very real need for foster families. Obviously, that continues to be a need in our community, a need in what feels like every community. So, yes, if you're listening to this podcast and the Lord is leading you, prompting you, putting it on your heart to foster, I think the Talmages, I think Raina would say, put your yes on the table and see what God does. I'd love for y'all to share, though, whether it's specifically in the numbers of needed foster families or other needs that you've seen Big House meet. Really, I guess the question is, what is the greatest need that you see? From your experience, from your vantage point, having prayed about it for a long time, having said yes recently, having prayed about it for a long time, and having had said yes for multiple years now. What do you guys see as the greatest need in and around foster care? How does the Big House play into that, intersect that need, so to speak? I know that could go a lot of different directions. I'd love to just kind of hear you guys respond to that.
I think other than just the area needing more foster families, foster homes, childcare was hard. We didn't have a daycare for 2 weeks. We got put on the wait list for several different daycares. They were at JJ's daycare for 2 weeks. So Jacob was so gracious and took off work, and
2 weeks.
You learned how to be a parent real fast.
Oh,
he
yeah.
did.
Deep end.
He did. But again, that was where our community kind of showed up. But yeah, I would say childcare is very difficult.
Okay.
And I think that a lot of times I've heard of other foster parents having to turn away children because they can't take off work, and then there aren't any daycares to take the children. So,
Yeah.
and then again, Big House saw that need, and they're trying to meet that need because they're trying to start a daycare
Daycare.
in the next few years.
Yeah.
So, I feel like they are really in tune with
Yeah.
the area and what the needs are. But I would say that's probably the greatest need.
Okay. What else?
Like Rena had said, it is purely based or run off of donations, and so
Yeah.
all anything you have. I mean, if it's just something that you're just like plan on throwing away, you can just give it to Big House, because I can't tell you. I mean, it seems like everything we have needed. We're just like, oh well, let's shoot so and so a text message, see if they have it, and they always have it. Or they're
Yeah.
like, oh yeah,
Poor Heather's probably tired of
here's
us.
a phone number. Here, call them. They'll get you something. Or hey,
Yeah.
they have a car seat. Or hey,
Yeah.
if you need to drop a kid off for 3 hours, come drop it off here. It's just they always seem to have the resources, and I think that's just because they have such steady giving,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
people in the community are constantly being able to donate and give to keep that resource available.
Yeah.
And honestly, it has been such a big help.
Mm.
Yeah. And Big House does, yes, they do have the needs, as in, like, you know, car seats. That is a huge need. And as these two boys just went into care, DHR has these disgusting car seats, and that's like all they have, you know? So she's like, the DHR worker was like, I feel bad giving you this. And I was like, well, they're going to go into deeper foster care if I don't put him in a car seat. So he has to have something.
Yes.
So give me the dirty one.
Yes.
And luckily, Heather went inside and was like, actually, here's a nicer one. Like, here's one clean. So even that, it's just like they do have things, and it's because of donations. It's because of people that have outgrown their car seats or just felt the need to go and buy one and donate it. You can do that as well. But they do stuff around Christmas time. They do Christmas gifts for all foster families. They do back to school.
Mm-hmm.
All the school supplies your child could need, they do that. So it's like whenever those times come up where you have a bigger need, DHR, like you said, they're very in tune with that. And not DHR, I'm sorry, Big House is very in tune with that. And they step in and they already have something in place. They do. Y'all should talk about the beach retreat.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about it. All right. Yeah. Tell us.
Do that.
Go.
Okay. So Big House has a beach retreat every fall. I think normally they've only had 1 weekend a year, but this year they expanded it to 2.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't really think we'd be able to make it work with our schedule, but we knew how awesome of an opportunity it was. And so it actually worked out. So we'll be able to participate in our first Big House retreat,
Yes.
Big House beach retreat this fall. So we're pumped. But they do that just as an opportunity to allow foster parents to fellowship with one another, to kind of be away, and then also have support for their kids. So we're pumped about it.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be a great time to connect with other foster families, to expand our support system.
Mm-hmm.
Just because that's another great resource that we've met other foster families through events that Big House has put together for us. And knowing other people that are walking through this with you, it's very encouraging. We have a lot of people praying for us. We're able to pray for a lot of people. So, yeah, we're excited. Go to the beach.
That's
Another
exciting.
Big House.
And at the beach retreat, especially all of our college students, every family gets like a buddy, and they like play with the kids. So while y'all are at the beach, like, you'll get to spend time with your children potentially at that time. But also, like, you'll have time like to yourself, because they realize that you also need like some space and respite time as well. So they really do think of everything, and they provide food for that, meals for that, and all of that is by donation. So that is coming up in October. So if you're hearing this before then, potentially, maybe not, but that's another way that you can give to Big House. But you were talking about numbers for foster care, and randomly, I'm certified through DHR, so I'm not sure what ABCH's numbers are, or because that one is the whole state of Alabama, so it's different. But I am certified through Lee County DHR, and I don't know the exact numbers. They're on my phone, but it's over there. But I can guess or estimate, because they just sent an email. They are constantly asking for more foster families because they just don't have space for kids anymore. There's nowhere to put the children that are coming in, and that's why this family last week in our church, like, That's why God called them, because if not, these kids were going to be sleeping on the couch in the DHR office, and that is not okay for anybody's child. But it's around, or at least there's over 100 kids in foster care right now in Lee County, and there are only like 35 foster families. So you can do some math there. I only have one child in my home, so somebody else has more than 3.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy. And just in our own church, I could be wrong, but every single foster family that has their house open has their capacity.
Yeah.
They are at capacity.
Yeah.
They can't take more. I mean, y'all are about to take another, but we don't even have any more foster families in our church that are open right now because they're full. And we are just really desperate. DHR is really desperate for more families.
Can I put you on the spot and you give me best guess how many foster families are in our church, or do you know that number, or do you want me to let
One.
you? One.
Just kidding. 1, 2,
Uh.
3, 4, 5, 6. At least 6.
At least
7. 7, because our new friends that just joined last week. 7, and then we have two families that their houses are closed right now because they have babies. They just added their own children to
There
their
you go.
family, much less foster kids. But 7 up to 9
Okay.
that are within our church. And I definitely see that growing.
Yeah.
I would love for us to have more.
Yeah.
We did a foster care kind of like lunch and learn, and I think that was really helpful. Were y'all there?
Yeah, that was like
Okay.
one of the first steps we did.
Hey.
Well, we had just started our
We had
classes.
like
I
just started a
think.
class, and we were like, "Oh man, they're doing like a foster lunch. That's pretty cool."
That was
Hey.
something
Might
else.
as well
Like we
go.
knew that there were a lot of foster families
Yeah.
in Grace,
Yeah.
and that was also so encouraging.
Mm,
Just to hear about how Grace steps in and they support their members. And so
Yeah.
that also really helped saying yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
It did, knowing that you had people that were in the same situation that you were about to put yourself into.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I know you've done a really great job not only wanting other foster families to know who else is fostering, but then whether it be through community groups or it be through friend groups, like, okay, how can we put people around those people
Yeah.
so that those who are not doing the fostering and doing the hard work day in, day out can say, hey, what do you need? How can we pray? What can we bring? What can we do? When can we take them? Those types of things. And so I know that will continue to grow as foster care does as well.
Yeah.
It's in so many ways, it's not dissimilar to being called overseas, right?
Mm.
Someone goes overseas, they don't go overseas by themselves. They may be the one who goes, but we get to send, we get to pray, we get to support, we get to welcome home, we get to send gifts, we get to do all these things with them. Because really there are those who are called to go and those who are called to send and nobody else.
Mhm.
We all have a role to play in that. And I think that will be tremendously true about foster care as well. And so that excites me just to know that we, in some ways, it's kind of one of those numbers though, when you share it the way that you share it, Raina, you're like, okay, that's a lot. And then at the same time, it's not that far away.
Right.
If more and more people will just put their yes on the table.
Right.
So if you guys have any final thoughts, anything else you want to share, maybe encouragement for someone who's on the fence, I don't know, just whether it be in connecting a foster family to Big House or reminding someone who's on the fence, hey, not only are we with you, but Big House is with you. There's so many different opportunities for you to do this with people. I don't know. What do you guys have to kind of wrap this conversation up? Any final encouragement, any thoughts?
I would
On that
say
front.
anyone that might be on the fence about foster care, just go through the classes.
Right.
Just because you go through the classes, you don't have to get licensed. There's still other steps. So I think that just going through the classes helps kind of give you a lot more information, kind of a little bit more of an understanding. And if they needed childcare for their own children while they went through the class, I'm sure we could find something for kids. We can watch a kid every once a week for 10 weeks. So I would say just go through the classes and just to see how the Lord works in your heart over those 10 weeks.
I think it looks really scary because it's like you're welcoming people into the most vulnerable part of your life, like your home. But I think we're called to that, number one, and it is worth it. All the hard nights, all the hard mornings, all the hard moments, there's going to be exponentially more good ones. And at the end of the day, even if it's not, and you get a really hard placement, like your reward is in heaven. So,
That's right.
like that is where our faith has to be. But I would echo what y'all have said. Like the church has been like unbelievably supportive,
Mm.
especially Grace Auburn. I'm sure the other churches in our area, I know them. I'm sure they're wonderful as well. But specifically at Grace Auburn, you will be seen and known and loved by other foster families, by families that can't foster, but that's what they could do is they can care for your kids. And
Yeah.
I can hardly think of anybody at our church that has not done something for our family, whether it be, watch our child, buy her lunch, pick her up from something, like give her a shirt, like give them her hand-me-downs, all that kind of stuff. Like I really can't think of anybody that like knows and loves us and that has it. I mean, you gave us your booster seat. You probably don't remember that, but like
do.
we still use it.
Nice.
And it's like, everybody has a little part to play and you're not doing it by yourself. You're not
Yeah.
alone.
Yeah.
There are people to talk to. But I think putting your yes on the table, God may say this isn't what it is, but he also could say, I am calling you to this. And there could be a kid sleeping on a DHRS couch that could be in your home. And it's hard to say no when it's like, but there's a real child out there that needs a bed. And if you have a room in your house, that means you have a bed. If you don't have a bed, Big House does, and they will give you a bed.
They'll find you one.
But if you have a room in your house, what we did when we took 2 respite case placements the other day just for emergency purposes, and we don't have an extra room. We have a playroom. And so we just put a blow-up mattress and put a tent on top of it. And you know what? It was good for the night, and they loved it. So you can make it work, I promise. And you're not doing it alone. I think that's what I would encourage people.
Yeah, that's good. I think when I think about Big House, I think about the number of families and all the random things and all the volume of things, the breadth of things you guys have shared that were needs that whether it was Heather or someone, they were like, yeah, we can find that. Yeah, we'll find that. When I think of Big House, I think your yes is on the table, so we're going to help find a way.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do whatever it takes. We're going to find the people. We're going to find the thing. We're going to find that. We're going to meet that need because that child is worth it. Jesus is worth it. And so on behalf of your church, I just want to say thank you. You guys are doing a good work. It is needed. It is necessary. And it is shining a light in a dark place. And for that, we're really grateful. And until Jesus comes home or till Jesus comes back or we go home, right?
Yeah.
Till Jesus comes home. Till Jesus returns or we go there, we're always going to have brokenness. We're always going to have situations where the church must step in because no one else will. And so in that we rejoice, in that we have hope. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
On behalf of the Grace Auburn Church family, thank you for listening to the Grace Auburn Church podcast. If you'd like more information about partnering with us and our mission or ways that you can get connected, please go to our website, graceauburn.church.